Science fiction. It serves as a genre or medium with the potential to influence the future of our existence like no other. It is a genre that most individuals can easily recognize, and if you consider yourself an avid film goer, you have seen your fair share. It permeates throughout a good majority of the blockbusters that are produced today. Science fiction, or sci-fi, can be intertwined with many other genres, such as action, drama, or horror, but the certain details that the genre possesses nearly always leaves a recognizable stamp on the film. What is science fiction exactly, though? What defines science fiction? How did it begin, and later evolve into the popular status it holds today? And what importance does it hold within the scope of film? Science fiction, by definition, is a genre that uses speculative, fictional science-based depictions of phenomena that are not fully accepted by mainstream science. Examples of this can be displaying extraterrestrials and their worlds, extrasensory perception, superpowers, time travel, and other futuristic elements. The plots often, but not always, take place in a time setting in the future, for obvious reasons. Though science fiction films did not really begin to experience widespread success until the mid to latter half of the 20th century. The first sci-fi films took root in the very early 20th century. Trip to the Moon, or Le Voyage dans la Lune, was released in 1902. Written and directed by French filmmaker Georges Méliès, this 14-minute short is regarded as the very first work of science fiction and film. It is iconic in the scope of film. Many people recognize it for the face in the moon, and it depicts mankind's first attempt to land on the moon. Of course, half a century later, we did achieve such a feat. The film uses a myriad of editing techniques, such as multiple exposures, time-lapse photography, dissolves, and others. This also set the tone for a larger aspect that plays into sci-fi films, the majority of which use a heavy amount of editing and intense visual effects to achieve the futuristic imagery that have become the standard today. Science fiction took a bit of a break after Trip to the Moon. It was not until 1927 that audiences were introduced to the next major revelation in science fiction, which was the German expressionist masterpiece, Metropolis. This film used a plethora of innovative camera work. Its editing depicted a dystopian future full of creatively conjured technology, such as megastructures and androids. In the next decade, the Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers comic strips were transferred onto the screen as short serials, which would set the pace for the direction towards sci-fi hero films of the future. The 1940s and 50s saw an increase in the interest of science fiction as the space race blossomed. A multitude of films have been released since this time. It shows an ever-growing and non-stop craving for science fiction films amongst audiences, particularly those created in Hollywood. Popular films have been released since this time, including the Star Wars series, Terminator, Aliens, Blade Runner, 2001: A Space Odyssey, E.T., The Matrix, Inception, and many, many more. But what is it exactly that makes science fiction so interesting and popular? The major force for science fiction rides parallel to the concepts that drove audiences back to theaters in the 1970s, creating blockbusters and multiplexes. That driving force was the audience's craving for thrill and seeing captivating experiences. The implication of future and advanced technology is an exceedingly popular pull to theaters. They offer tall tales within the context of their story, but often they follow a very logical path, stemmed from the actual developments in the related field. Many of these ideas of technology are highly probable. This shows how many ideas in sci-fi have come to inspire the technologies and comforts we use now, and possibly in the future. These films often revolve around a what-if factor. Situations expand further by filmmakers to grasp the viewer's interest. When compared to other genres, the scope of imagination in sci-fi is massive. These movies put the audiences in situations where their minds constantly imagine and interpret several concepts present in the movie. This invokes a great sense of excitement in the minds of viewers, leaving them unsatisfied and wanting more. From these concepts, it is easy to see why science fiction and films derived from the genre have developed such devout and hungry fan bases. Finally, the importance of sci-fi and what impact has it had on film. The setting of those films allows us to consider worlds which are logically possible. It can be used to explore our place in the universe and consider fundamental philosophical questions about the nature of reality and the mind. Science fiction can inspire more people to become scientists, as well as inspire the creation of new technologies. Perhaps, most importantly, it's the only genre that depicts how society could function differently. Within the scope of film, the genre has allowed for settings, environments, and plots that have gifted directors and editors with an environment to explore the deepest sense of creativity and imagination. New techniques in editing, lighting, camera work, and digital effects have evolved specifically within this genre. The scope it provides for the unknown and stimulating is unparalleled by any other genre. It continues to be a platform for not only film, but for the future of mankind as well.